Explaining yourself is why people stop taking you seriously. The moment you start explaining, you already lost. Because when you explain, you're not clarifying, you're defending. And defending puts you on trial, where the other person becomes the judge. In this video, I'll give you simple replacement lines you can say instead. Try this once and watch how people react. One of these sentences ends arguments instantly. Over-explaining isn't politeness, it's self-defense. Most people explain for two reasons. First, you want to be understood. You want the other person to see your logic and say, okay, that makes sense. Second, silence feels like losing. When you stop talking, it feels like you gave up ground. But here's the problem. Explaining puts you on trial, and the other person becomes the judge. Every extra sentence gives them something to question. So before I give you the lines, there are rules. These lines only work if you use them correctly. Say it once. Say it slow. Then stop talking. No follow-ups, no justifying, no fixing the silence. Because silence is part of the sentence. The power isn't in the words alone. The line works after you stop speaking. Let's replace explaining, starting with the most common situation. Move 1. That's my decision. Most people over-explain when their choice gets questioned. They start with something like, well, I just thought that maybe because last time, and also I figured. That response sounds unsure, even if the decision was solid. Instead, say this, that's just what I decided. That's it. This works because there's no apology in it. There are no details for someone to attack, and it signals certainty without aggression. You're not asking for permission. You're not convincing. You're stating a fact. If someone says, why would you do that? You say, that's just what I decided. Then you pause. That pause does the work for you. If you want a softer version, you can say, that works for me, or I'm comfortable with that. Same message, same effect. Now let's handle guilt tripping. Move 2. The guilt stopper. This is for when someone keeps pushing you to explain why you won't do something. They don't actually want clarity. They want leverage. So instead of explaining, say this, I'm not going to explain myself. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. This line sets a clear boundary. It removes their ability to argue with your reasons, and it stops the conversation loop immediately. If they say, just tell me why, you say, I'm not going to explain myself, and then you stay quiet. Silence is what locks it in. If you want a firmer version, use I don't owe an explanation. Or, if you've already answered once, I've already answered. No anger, no tone, just finality. But sometimes when you stop explaining, they accuse you of being difficult. Move 3. The calm reframe. Sometimes when you stop explaining, people change tactics. They stop asking questions and start labeling you. They say you're being difficult. They say you're dramatic. They say you're overreacting. That's bait. If you explain, you lose. Instead, say this, I'm not trying to convince you. This line works because it removes the entire argument. You're not asking for agreement. You're not defending your feelings. You're not trying to win. You're simply stating your position and letting it stand. When someone says, you're making this a big deal, you say, I'm not trying to convince you. Then you stop talking. That sentence does something important. It shifts responsibility back to them. If they keep arguing, they're arguing alone. If you want variations, use, you don't have to agree, or that's how I see it. Short, neutral, grounded. Now let's deal with the moment when they just won't let it go. Move 4. The conversation closer. Some people don't want an answer. They want control. They keep asking. They rephrase the question. They circle back, hoping you'll break and explain again. That's when you use this line. I've said what I needed to say. This sentence signals finality. You're not escalating. You're not emotional. You're closing the door. It works because it gives them nothing new to grab onto. No reasons, no arguments, no energy. If they try again, you don't change the line. You repeat it or you stay silent. You can also say, that's all I'm saying, or I'm done with this. Say it calmly, then stop talking. And now the one that shuts down disrespect without starting a fight. Move 5. The reverse pressure line. This is for when someone challenges you, judges you, or mocks your choice. Most people defend. That's exactly what the other person expects. Instead, say this. You're allowed to think that. This line works because it removes the power struggle. You're not offended, you're not explaining, you're not trying to change their mind. You're acknowledging their opinion and refusing to carry it. When you say it calmly, it flips the pressure back onto them. There's nothing left to argue with. If you want a variation, you can say, "That's your opinion." Short, clean, unemotional. At this point, you're no longer explaining. You're setting the tone. Let me help you lock this in so it actually works when you need it. Now, don't just listen to these lines. You need to feel how they're supposed to sound. So repeat after me, out loud if you can. First line, "That's just what I decided." Say it again, slower. Now say it like you're stating a fact, not defending yourself. Next line, "I'm not going to explain myself." Again, slower. No edge, no apology. Say it once and pause. Next, "I'm not trying to convince you." Say it calmly. This isn't about winning. It's about standing still. Now this one, "I've said what I needed to say." Say it like the conversation is already over, because it is. And finally, "You're allowed to think that." Say it neutrally. No sarcasm, no tension. Here's the most important part. After every line, do nothing. No follow-up, no nervous smile, no extra sentence to soften it. The silence is what makes the line land. If you rush to fill it, you undo everything. Quick decision tree. If someone questions your choice, use "That's just what I decided." If they demand reasons or keep pushing, use "I'm not going to explain myself." If the conversation turns into a debate, use "I'm not trying to convince you." If they won't drop it, use "I've said what I needed to say." And if they judge or mock you, use "You're allowed to think that." One rule matters more than all of this. Pick one line. Don't stack them. Don't rotate them. One line, once, then silence. That's what confidence actually sounds like. Let's wrap this up. Here's the truth. Explaining doesn't make you clearer. It makes you look unsure, even when you're right. Short sentences signal certainty. Silence signals control. This week, pick one line. Use it once, then stop talking. If you want the next skill, how to speak without sounding awkward or forced, watch the next video.